had a chance encounter. So both Golf Plus and Walkabout, like most of our team is in Austin. We started out all in Austin, but we actually bumped into each other at a VR event in Austin, like shortly before the pandemic, and had that Spider-Man moment because we were there showing off our mini golf game. You guys were showing off at the time. It was Pro Putt, which was like kind of mini golf adjacent, and now you've moved it over into big golf. Golf. I don't know what you call like
Full golf,
just golf,
full golf,
real golf.
Traditional, yeah.
Traditional golf, yeah. But it was, but yeah, we had kind of that Spider-Man moment where we were like both, oh wait, you're coming to the Quest? We're coming to the Quest. And that was still at a time before the Quest 2 came out. And yeah, it's just so funny that a lot of people have kind of compared the two games. And a lot of people who have played both of them, like, they're really two completely different games. And some people enjoy both for very, very different reasons. I'm just kind of curious if you've ran into that at all, or sort of like just with all of the different just the golf games, maybe like tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing and sort of what really sort of like some of those differences between like Golf Plus and Walkabout.
Yeah, totally. No, I remember meeting in person at that VR. I think it was the first VR conference that I had been to in Austin, and it was right before the pandemic. And I remember seeing your demo on the iPhone and us kind of doing our VR demo. And to be totally honest, we had partnered with Topgolf, and I was like, oh, we're gonna blow them out of the water. Like this isn't, there's no competition. They're mini golf, and we're gonna be more real golf. And then after you guys launched and I played it and our players started playing it as well, and we saw the feedback coming in and just kind of the quality of what you built, there was definitely that like, moment of like, oh man, our sales are starting to drop, Walkabout's rising up in the charts. Like this is like real competition for our business. So I think there was a period where we definitely looked at it as like, we've got to learn as much as we can about what they're doing. But really, I think at that point, after you had launched, we were pretty committed to doing the full venue Topgolf mode. So our goal from the start was ultimately to move into more traditional golf. Like I've been playing golf since I was a kid. I love golf. We wanted to do full courses, but we started with putting because we figured putting would be the hardest part of getting golf right. Just because there's so many nuances, as you know, and we figured if we could get putting to feel good, then we could get the full swing to feel good. So once we started moving more into the full swing, we really, probably the same for you, but we kind of stopped getting as many comparisons between the two, and we would see a lot of that same feedback of like, they're totally different experiences. They're both really fun. They both work well, but like, you shouldn't buy one or the other. You should definitely buy both.
Right, yeah. And I could totally see a lot of more like hardcore sort of like golf people, like absolutely. But yeah, it was kind of funny. Like we're in I think a very similar boat where we never really looked at it sort of like as like big competition. But I mean, there's a limited number of games on the store. And to be honest, it's kind of like, I've been really looking forward to this chat just because it's sort of like, I feel like you guys understand some of the challenges that we are constantly dealing with, especially just like golf in VR, and like in a way that no one else is possibly going to get. Very nice.
Thank you.
But
no, totally.
Something you just said. Did you find that was true, that the full swing was easier once you got the putting right? Or was it harder? That was a bad assumption.
I mean, I guess it's all relative, but the interesting thing about full swing golf is the ball doesn't go straight. It has spin on it, right? Every golf shot has spin on it, and different clubs produce different spin, and that, and there's wind to factor in, which obviously you guys have also done for putting. But there are a lot of nuances in how the ball bounces and how it stops and how it spins backwards. And there are a lot of things that I hadn't fully thought through on the physics side. So we ended up iterating a lot more on the full swing physics than we probably did the putting physics. But, they both have their intricacies.
I could definitely see the ball physics being a lot more complex with putting. It took a lot of work for us to kind of like find the right sort of like balance and really just dial in the ball physics. But the club interaction with the ball was a pretty simple one to get down. But the exact opposite for full swing. Like once the ball's in the air, it's an easier physics calculation. But trying to get that full swing and get the contact to feel right and I mean, you're not getting enough data from the controller. You have to be interpolating and kind of doing some special sauce, I would imagine, to interpolate what should be happening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, with putting, it is pretty much a one-to-one. However fast the putter's going, the golf ball comes off pretty consistently. But then with full swing, we have to calculate that spin off of the ball, and with full swing, you're moving the controller generally almost as fast as you can. So the tracking starts to kind of lose a bit. So we definitely have to build some assumptions in, and it was a lot of trial and error to make it feel right. Thankfully, thankfully
I was chatting with Roman on the 11 table tennis. He was the main person doing a lot of their physics, and yeah, he had talked a lot about all of the work that they did to get their controllers, to basically get that interpolation as good as possible. This is a wonky shot. I'm still gonna go for it though.
I'm glad you get to go first, so I can watch what to do. Yeah, I talked to the table tennis guys too, which is they're Hamza, their CEO, is in Austin. So I feel like somehow we've really managed to create this pretty incredible sporting, VR sports area in Austin.
Little ball physics games, like anything where ping pong ball to golf ball size. Very nicely done. So one of the things that you guys also have to deal, very nice. You're really going to smoke me at this. I have to.
I don't know. It's one hole so far. We'll see.
But yeah, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize that you guys are even having to deal with way more than we are is that people think like, oh, it's sort of like the graphics are fairly simple. What they don't realize is just that you have to render the entire course at once. And this isn't the best place to show it off because we're inside, but when you go out and you can see to the far end of it, you really have to do that. That is insanely difficult on the current sort of like Quest hardware. Have you guys, I'm just kind of curious if you have to do a lot just with the sheer scale of the courses, because essentially one of our courses could fit into just one of the holes that's on your course.
Yeah, totally. I think the big difference there is you guys have so many details like right around you, which is great. Whereas like ours are more spread out, but there's not as much going on in your immediate vicinity. So I'm sure our poly counts are pretty similar. But yeah, we ended up coming up with a few different systems to try to kind of get that right. We do a lot of LOD switching. So at different distances, we have lower resolution models. And then we also spend a ton of time on our shaders. And the one area where we found you can kind of, I don't know if cheat's the right word, but we found that the sound effects have a massive impact on perceived level of detail or just perceived detail. So on our courses with like oceans or trees, you can just put someone in there and ask them like, close your eyes and like, tell me how detailed this course is. And based on the nuances of the environment, they'll sort of assume the graphics are a little bit better than they probably are, because when they close their eyes, they hear the rustling and they hear the ocean and they hear like crickets or whatever the case is. So yeah, I mean, every new course that we do, we always try to push some new rendering technique or some extra level of detail or some new tool to try to up the quality, but it's a struggle.
Yeah. Do you find your guys that you're leaning more towards, like in an ideal world, would you be going totally photorealistic, or are you leaning into more of because I know you've had to adopt some stylized things in order to just run. Is that the idea? Like, would you rather be stylized, or would you rather be like as realistic looking as possible?
I mean, so, in a perfect world, the way that we're attacking it is we're really going after these like famous golf courses in real life.
Yeah.
Like, we did Pinehurst and we'll do Pebble Beach in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So for those courses, we want them to look as accurate as possible. And for people who have played the courses to feel like they're on the course when they're there, to bring back those real memories. And then, longer term, we really like the idea of kind of being able to open up course creation to the community and give them tools to build them in whatever style they think, is best for their vision. So from our perspective, we're pretty focused on how photorealistic can we get it. But, long term, I think it's great to have both options.
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
How about you guys?
I mean,
you're obviously
again, it's kind of funny
how
we've and we've leaned so far away from that. Although we're still like, ironically, if you do actually get into all of the details with the shaders, there's actually a lot going on to kind of make that style look as good as possible. But it's not the photorealistic stuff. It's adding those extra effects. This was the first course that we actually had like the windy plants on, and
I love the windy
Craig,
plants.
Our lead tech artist really did some awesome stuff, sort of like bringing those. And the nice thing is once you have them, you can kind of start adding them to upcoming courses and everything pretty easily. So, yeah.
I love that.
I'm curious.
It's been fun to sorry, I was just saying it's been fun to kind of try, like, as you try new things, you sort of create this like toolkit of like, okay, now we can do wind, and now we can do this and that, and each course gets to build upon what you've learned before. So it still feels like, at least I still feel like we're still learning so much with every new thing that we do.
Yeah. I'm curious what the
I didn't see that coming.
What's the hardest part for you in terms of like, is it the graphic side of things? Is it performance? Is it the physics? Where do you guys sort of find yourselves sort of focusing on the most?
I would say that's a really good question.
Or just doing VR development in general.
Yeah, I think for us, it's kind of on trying to prioritize what features we should build next. I mean, I'm sure the same is true for you guys. We just get so many requests from our players about, add different game modes, add different courses, add new golf equipment, So for us, we also get a lot of add training. People want to learn how to play golf for real, in Golf Plus, which is something that we will be doing. So we're kind of spread across a lot of different things that it's not always obvious what the top priority should be. And we're trying to do a good job of like just creating a strong foundation across the spectrum. But then for individual dev efforts, anything that comes like playability, like actual gameplay and experience of what does it feel like when we show an effect or when we build a new game mode and it's got something unique about it. It's just on paper, it's always a little bit different when you get into VR and experience it for the first time, right? So I think the hardest part is just building in the expectation that there is going to be a lot of iteration before this feature actually gets shipped, just because our first version's probably not going to be the perfect one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, with every single course, I know you'd mentioned. I would say probably similar. Like, we're doing a lot of different things. We have so many different courses, and many of the courses themselves have some new element that we haven't done before. You mentioned Mist was a great example of one that getting all of the switch mechanics so that you roll over, you hit a ball switch and suddenly the environment changes around you to reflect what you just activated. Getting that to sync up correctly in multiplayer, but also handle people hitting the instant replay button or someone joining the room late. It's just like the multiplayer aspect of those world state changes. It's one thing when you're just hopping into a game and and you could just like either join or watch or whatever. That's a relatively simple thing to do. So
Lucas, did you write the majority of the code for the first version?
For the first version, it was all of that was me.
Wow.
And it would have been but that would have been the first 4 courses. Ooh, so close.
That was close.
That would have been the first 4 courses that shipped. It had the basic multiplayer, And then we had a couple people come in and help shortly after that. So we had a modeler, Edward, came on, and then Henning, who is now our lead course designer. He started out coming in to do the fox hunts, and then was just so great at it, and that he really kind of took over, and he's now doing most of the course design. Which
That's
I have
awesome.
to admit, I tell him multiple times that I'm a little jealous, because that's always my favorite part of the process, and I haven't had as much time to do that lately. What do you find yourself focusing most on?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a lot like you. So we started the year with 5 people on the team, and now we're at 25. So it's been a lot of hiring this year, and similar to you as well. I'm curious to get your sort of thoughts on it. We've done a lot of license deals this year. Like you guys, did Mist and Labyrinth, which both are amazing, and we've kind of tried to do the same with famous golf courses. So I spent some time on that, and thankfully we hired an amazing business guy. Well, more than a business guy, like really just like an incredible operator that's taken on a lot of that. But when I get to, like, if I can do whatever I want to be doing in a given day, I like writing code. I wrote the majority of the code for kind of our V1. So coding's my favorite. I also built the first few courses, but similar to you, thankfully we have someone who on our team. We have a couple people on our team that are doing that now, and they're much better at it than I am. I really like building gameplay features, and sort of building like the foundational elements that we can use to affect a lot of our different game modes. Like we want to build a bot system so that if you are playing solo, you can still feel like you're playing with other people.
So we're going to actually hop over to Golf Plus and play a round of 9 there. And we both finished -3. So this is going to be...
tied.
We tied. We're both -3. So that one, I had that the hole right up there that really smoked me. So I feel like I at least didn't get completely destroyed in my own game. So
-3 is pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but let's head over to Golf Plus and pick it up over there. So we are here on Pinehurst now, which is the newest course that you guys launched. And I'm actually curious. So I'm guessing, do you get like Lidar data of the courses so that you're actually sort of basically you kind of got the model that comes to you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we get GS data for the majority of the course, which is effectively very similar to Lidar. And then for the greens, we get laser scans so that they're as accurate as possible, because you really want the greens to be accurate. Great shot.
I'm really glad that I played like 5 holes to warm up. It is kind of funny how like I feel like the games are so close, but there's just enough difference in the feel of them that I spend so much time. I'm sure you're in the same boat. Like I spend so much time in Walkabout. I know how our putters feel. Do you feel a little off when you come into Walkabout for the same reason?
Yeah. I think the way that we have them on the controller is slightly different. So there's definitely a difference there. But I mean, honestly, I do feel like with putting, it's not as bad, because as long as the face is like squared up, you can kind of adjust to it. So yeah, there's some differences, but I was pretty happy with my performance, honestly.
Yeah, that was great.
Hopefully I can
there's
put
also
this
the big
here.
difference of probably one of the biggest difference physics-wise is that when you guys are having to deal with the ball coming to rest on slopes, which is something that we really don't do, because mini golf just doesn't really happen. The carpet keeps your ball up. Was that a big physics challenge that you guys had?
Yeah, totally. I ended up reading, I don't know, hundreds of pages about, golf ball physics. And
I didn't mean to hit that. That was supposed to be a practice swing.
It's actually, well, there was a mulligan button too. So that was one of the first things All right. Well, neither of us are on the green. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a huge part of it. And so in our game, you can actually set the green speed because different golf courses have different
Yeah.
speed greens based on how they cut them.
Mm-hmm.
And, getting that right so that if you have really fast greens, you will roll back, but then on slower greens, you will stay up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, your golf ball coming to rest on kind of different types of slope is just a huge part of traditional golf.
Yeah. We
So,
did a lot. It's less complex on that side of things, but there's a lot of kind of extra physics stuff happening on top of just like the out of the box physics. Are you guys completely doing your own physics, or are you using? Okay.
Yeah, the golf ball physics are 100% outside of Unity. They're all our own system because it has to just with the spin and the rolling and stuff. It ends up being a bit, just a bit different. All right,
and that makes sense. I actually started doing something original, and then as I actually kind of switched back to, we are under the hood using PhysX with a lot of special sauce over the top, and a lot of that does come down to we have to account for a lot more possibilities, like your ball being able to bounce off of different surfaces to be pushed along by different things. There's just a lot more sort of like, whereas this one, like the ball is the only thing moving other than the club. So I think that you've got to do a lot more special stuff, whereas we have to account for a lot more, how do I put it? Yeah.
Like extra forces.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a lot of other things that can affect the ball in different ways. So, this is pretty accurate to how my real golf game is.
A little too realistic. Yeah. That's why we did have the different difficulty modes.
I'm trying to figure out how much sand I'm taking out of this. You guys are doing the exact same thing that we do, where the club will stay even with the ball.
Yeah.
And then
there you go.
Well, hey, nice. I'm up. That's what counts.
There it is. All right. Well, we're both out here in no man's land. You keep out driving me.
Well, I'm not playing with the. Are you playing with an adapter?
No, I got the controller too.
Oh, you're just doing the controller. Okay.
Yeah, I do it with the controller because most of our players play that way, and I want to make sure that I'm experiencing it in the same way as most of the players. But the majority of the team, the rest of our team, really like to play with the attachment.
I've got a couple of different attachments, and usually I play with that. And this time, it's at the office, so I didn't get a chance to. Or I couldn't grab to play with it. But the couple of times that I've hopped in here, I went ahead and did the attachment because it really does make it feel very realistic.
Totally.
And it's much more forgiving of it's much more forgiving of the usual things that always kill me, which is just sort of like it's not making perfect contact with the club head. Yeah. Do you mind me asking, like, I'm sure that you're having to sort of like make some guesses. Is some of that just being a little bit more forgiving of whether people are making good contact, or what is that sort of like?
We assume contact is always perfect. That's like because of the tracking issues. That was one area where we couldn't really screw around. Right. So we always assume contact is perfect, but then it all comes down to your club path and your face angle to determine the spin on the ball and which way it's going to go. So yeah, if we had, great shot, great putt. If we had built it such that like hitting contact point was as realistic as it should be, I think it would be even more frustrating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, golf is hard enough even if you do hit it in the sweet spot every time.
Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the other things that so we are also doing a lot, now that you mentioned spin, it got me even thinking, because that's one of the other things that we're doing a lot of, but it has to do with more contact and sort of like the surface that you're biting on. There was a lot of sort of extra stuff happening on top of that to make sure that it bites the green in the right way, but if it bounces off a wall, you get some really funky spins in mini golf coming off of that, and it makes a big difference to add that stuff in. So but obviously we're not helping anyone out at all.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen it in my putts. Pro putt, we actually had added kind of our shot line is what we ended up calling it. We added that pretty early just because we really wanted, our pro putt courses were big, right? Yeah. Oh, you got a fun shot here. Through the trees.
Can I? Okay, let me figure out how to. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna punch it out with a 3-iron here.
I like it.
That seems like That seems like what I would probably do in real life. So
Perfect.
Oh, this is like sand. Ah,
yeah,
it got me.
It's the pine straw. The pine straw will get you every time. But yeah, in Pro Putt we had pretty long putts, I guess. So we really wanted we have novice mode, and I think we call it novice and amateur. No, amateur and pro mode. And on amateur mode, we give you the line that basically calculates like how could you make this putt from this position, and then if you get it pretty close, it does the same thing where it matches the velocity. We don't have to worry about spin with putting, which is good. And we just did that because we figured so many people were playing and just like having a really hard time getting the ball in the hole because our courses were more open, and we found that if we gave them this novice, they started making all these putts, and the feedback we got like in the first beta was like people were like, "Oh my god, I'm so good at putting! Like I feel like you're probably helping me, but I really like making this many putts."
It feels good to just be sinking 80-foot putts like left and right.
Totally. I actually got the idea from Pistol Whip. I don't know if you've played that game.
Oh yeah, are they doing a little bit of helping or in certain modes to kind of make you feel like a bit more of a little bit of auto aiming on top? Oh, nice shot.
Thank you. They are. I didn't realize that for quite a while until my friend helped me understand that I'm not nearly as good as I thought I was. I was like, God, I should be like a assassin or something. I'm just
you chose the wrong career path getting into virtual golf.
They're like, have you seen the settings menu where you can turn that off? I was like, yeah, I think I'm pretty good even without it on, and couldn't hit anybody.
You see, here's the only issue with the match play is that I'm still gonna have to get closer than you before I can't chip out of sand apparently.
Well, that's why we actually added the concede button.
Oh, let me do that.
No, you don't have to though. It's fine.
Oh, you want to just you're having a good time just watching me?
I'm enjoying it. Nice shot. No, I know that. Yeah, we tried a version before. We had and there would be scenarios where someone's like out of position and it gets a little hairy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it also goes to show that like golf in general, just kind of has a lot of friction involved in how you play and how hard it is, and like this is a real golf course and it's just a really hard game.
It is a game that requires you to spend a lot of time before you can even have much fun. Is maybe the best way of putting it. Like you have to in order to even hit you've got to really work on your swing before you can even go out and play a real course with any level of satisfaction. So
100% takes a lot of time and a lot of money. Nice shot. There it is. See, that's why.
Hey, I got in first. That counts for something, right?
It does.
So much of VR development is sort of like what is the use case and the thing you're wanting to do, and what's the combination of tricks that will help get you there, given what you're trying to do. Because things that work in one game can be totally different in another game. Even two golf games, totally different needs for that one bit of tech of how you're doing reflections. So
exactly, and it's fun. I like finding the little hacks that kind of give you this little unlock and makes your game a bit special versus another game is fun. But it's also fun to kind of share the tips and tricks, just because I think as a whole, if you guys do better, we do better. Hopefully, if we do better, you do better. If another VR game does well, more people are buying headsets, and it's like, it's really good for everybody. I think so. It's a good community.
I think that's definitely something that a lot of people I've heard some people wondered about sort of like competition and in general, because we know a lot of different devs that are in all the different, doing all the different VR games right now, and it is a pretty friendly, there's always a little bit of competition, kind of like you alluded to, but it's like in general, like the thing that's holding us back is more just the number of people that have headsets. So we're very much tied to the fate of VR, more so than than if one game does better, good for them. It's really not for them. Yeah, it's like anything that gets more people playing the games and just sort of like buying headsets and just generally just sort of like getting into VR. That's the biggest obstacle for us.
Yeah, 100%, 100% agree. I mean, we do look at the top selling charts every week, and we
Yeah.
obviously want to be as high as we can, but we don't want to be high because another game does poorly. We want to
Yeah.
be high because we want to make our game better. And I feel like everyone we've talked to in the space like kind of tackles it in the same way.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So on this
Um,
shot, I'm gonna show one of the other cool things about full swing that you don't get as much in putting is like shot shaping and ball trajectory.
yeah.
So on this shot, I'm gonna try to hit it as low as I can. In golf it's called a little stinger.
Okay.
But it just like once you play a bunch, it just becomes really fun to try to kind of shape the ball and
Yeah.
get it to come off the way that you want. So this one, I'm gonna try to get it to be super low.
Oh, nice.
There we
So,
go.
are
And
you
it'll roll
playing
out
that?
more.
Are you playing it a little further back in your stance then?
Absolutely. Back in the
Okay.
stance, kind of hitting down on it more, and then keep my hands way out in front. So yeah, if you
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a
try
shot
to
here.
do the same.
I mean, I'm not going to win this anyway, so I feel like now is as much time for a lesson as anything. I mean,
Well, you got it to
it
go
was
left.
lower. Yeah.
Yeah, as a business, we consider ourselves to be a golf business first,
Yeah.
and then kind of a technology business second. And we just think that VR is like the best technology out there to help expose people to golf and make it more accessible and get them to play. So for us, the mission truly is getting more people to play golf. And when we run surveys, half of the people that buy our game either don't play golf or they have only played like once or twice in the last year. So it is pretty interesting to see a lot of people that wouldn't consider themselves golfers to still gravitate to a golf game. And I'm sure your ratio is even better than that.
Yeah, I get, like I said, I don't even know exactly because, yeah, we definitely consider ourselves to be, I mean, it's interesting because I think that we definitely think of ourselves less as a sports game or a golf game in particular. It is more of a sort of like, we want it to be fun, we want it to be social, but actually one of the surprising things is that the vast majority of our players play single player.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Which
Interesting.
I wouldn't have expected, but most games, I think it's like 65% of people playing solo. So I think
That's
a
still
lot
a
of that.
high percent of multiplayer. That's really good.
Yeah, so that's still 35% multiplayer.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
that's
there's
great.
a lot of people hopping in. And yeah, we want to do more things around that, and more, multiplayer is fantastic, but it's also, I think that, if you're going onto the golf course, playing with a random person, while it can add a little bit to it, it definitely doesn't add the same thing as playing with someone and using it as an excuse to get together and yeah, hang out with a
Totally.
friend. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious to learn more of whatever you're willing to share about how you guys think about multiplayer and playing with other people, like strangers in particular, like you said, because we have the same problem. I think every VR game has the same problem where playing with another person in VR multiplayer, a stranger in multiplayer in VR, is a lot more to ask than like a console game, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Just
feel
because
very present.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel very present. You feel very you're having a conversation in a way that you probably wouldn't in a typical. Man, I just love that. I just love that pine. Just getting right in there. Just. But yeah. So we definitely think. I mean, I have some thoughts and theories, and we're doing more. We're adding more. Adding more social stuff, but every time we add one of those, we're trying to do it very, very cautiously, because I think the worst thing is that if you get once things go toxic, you cannot get them back from that. And I think that's one of the things that's facing a lot of VR games right now, is just sort of dealing with a toxic player base. And it's not even, I say toxic, 1-2% can really sort of cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, 100. I completely agree. Yeah, like for us, we do 4-player is the max people. Although in our Topgolf game, you can do up to 8, and one player that's just being a jerk can kind of screw it up for the whole group. So yeah, we see the same thing. But the people who do multiplayer and have a good time, they're by far the stickiest players that we have, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like we want to figure out how to get more people to experience it in a positive way and avoid some of the toxic behavior that unfortunately is just part of gaming.
But yeah, I think that us though having, I mean, being a paid game and we also have an older audience. I mean, our audience is really wide though. I mean, I imagine yours probably is as well. But yeah, we have pretty much the full gamut, you know, teens all the way up to 90-year-olds. So it's a
Wow.
really sort of, there's still sort of like a couple of specific areas, but yeah, we really sort of like look at it as sort of like a for everyone situation.
I love that. Yeah, who can have fun playing mini golf?
So, well, yeah, well, we'll wrap it up here. I feel like I've been beaten enough. But yeah, thanks for taking the time, and it's great to chat golf. And yeah, everybody check out Golf Plus and Walkabout. They're two totally different games, and yeah, it's great to just get to see other people working so similar, but two games that are like I said, really like totally different experiences that are they're both equally fun and yeah, so awesome. Anything else that you'd like to add, Ryan?
No, thanks so much for having me on doing this. And we should spend some time in Austin playing some real mini golf and real golf if you're available.
We'll have to do it. Yeah, we'll go play Muni or something. So awesome.
That'd be perfect.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah, thanks everybody.